In this tutorial, I want to show you a basic Flash setup and frame-by-frame animation, like stop-motion animation using squares or circles. So first thing I'm going to do is go to File New, which is Command N. Make sure that the document is HD, which is 1920 by 1080. And just for convenience sake, I'm going to change the frame rate to 25. That's frames per second. That way I know 25 is 1 second, 50 is 2 seconds, 100 is 4 seconds. And it's on ActionScript 3. I'm going to say OK. And then I'll zoom in or out as needed to fit in window there. So first I want to do frame by frame in terms of just movement, and then I'll do accumulation or extension. So to do movement, I'm just going to use one layer, and I've already got a keyframe as a default, and I'm going to draw a basic object. In this case, I'll use a rectangle tool to draw a square. I'm going to make sure that the object drawing is turned on, and I'm going to hold down Shift to make my square actually square. And I don't need a stroke. Just going to have the fill. And then I'm going to switch to the black arrow, which will allow me to then, now that I've made the square, will allow me to move it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this frame. So I've got this object on this frame. And in order to duplicate it, I'm going to hold down the Option key, or on the PC, it's an Alt key. So I put my thumb on it, and then I click and I drag it over one frame. And I let go of my mouse first, and I let go of my thumb second. So essentially, if I scroll back and forth here, you can see that right now it's the same. So if on this keyframe, I then select this square and I move it, and now if I don't press any hotkeys, it will move anywhere. If I hold down Shift, it will stay aligned. So in this case, I just want to do something systematic, so I'm just going to move it one step over, and then I'm going to let go. And now if I scrub back and forth, you can see that that keyframe is close to the edge and the next one is pulling out. And now I'm going to take that last keyframe, hold down Option, drag it, pull it over one, and then repeat the process. Hold down Shift, move it over a little bit, and do this a few times. And then if I want, I can change direction. Okay. And now if I hit Enter, I can see that play. And you can see that that moves very fast. So let's say I want to do it a little bit slower. So in this case, I'm going to hold down Option and I'm going to drag it out. Actually, let me go back a few steps. I'm going to hitting Command Z to go backwards. Okay, so now I'm at the 5 frames. So I'm going to go every 5 frames and see what that does. So now I've Option dragged that out to the 10th frame. I'll move that out. And then I'm going to Option drag that to 15. Oops. And now it will keep everything that I last touched selected. So if I just want to have the last square, I'm just going to click off of the artwork and then click on just one piece of the artwork. And now I can move that down. Ah, I see what I did. Okay. So that one I had just wanted to move over. And now I just want to move it down. And Option drag. So I'm doing Option drag in both cases. Option drag on the timeline and Option drag on the stage. So now I'm going to hit Return, and you can see the first part goes very fast, the second part goes much slower. So that's just straight frame by frame movement without any motion tweens. Now let's say that I wanted to leave a trail of these squares and just add more squares after this. And I'm going to continue to do that at 5 frames. So I'm going to do essentially the same thing, Option drag this by 5 frames. But then this time I'm going to hold down Option End. So before I was just doing Shift and moving this, and now I'm going to hold down Option and move this. And I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to just tweak that a little bit. And now I'm going to do, oops, Option Drag. And this is where I want to make sure to click off and then click on one of them, hold down Option and then drag it out, and then use the arrow keys, click off of it. So sometimes you have to make sure that you actually select the keyframe, then press down Option, then click on it and pull. So it should just be pulling one keyframe, and you should see this space. If not, you just need to go back and re-coordinate that. You press Option, you press the keyframe, then you start dragging it, make sure the Option key is put down, and make sure that you let go of the trackpad or the mouse before you let go of Option. So let's say I grab this last frame and then Option drag that down. So now if I play this, you'll see it moves, and it moves slowly, and then it starts to accumulate. So if you continued this, you could have a line move all the way across the page. So that's basic frame by frame. I could also do frame by frame and change things like size or rotation. So let's say I wanted to have one of these frames get a little bit larger. I can switch to the transform tool, and I could increase the size. Let's see. And move that over, and then I could do that again. Okay, so now if I press Enter, and I could do the same thing. I could take this and then I could start to enlarge it if I want. So rather than duplicating it, I can Option drag this here on the timeline, then I can select the square and I can enlarge it a little bit. And then if I want, I can Option drag that again, click off, click on, and enlarge it a little bit more. So that's movement and accumulative with stop motion.